Vision Lab would like to acknowledge the Koa people, traditional custodians of the land on which this project takes place. We pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. For our concept in designing a settlement, we'll begin with an exploration of our existing formal and informal urban worlds. Within our formal urban world, we see positive traits such as structures which can enable positive change, along with evolving knowledge and technologies. However, we also see negative impacts such as overregulation, overstretching of resources, and poor community cohesion. These negative outcomes can lead to the informal urban world as a response. Here, in many cases, we see a strong community arrangement. However, these settlements tend to have poor physical outcomes such as poor health and safety and difficulty accessing resources. We can also look to the past for insights. For example, the way in which Indigenous Australian communities traditionally work together to hunt and gather resources in order to sustain their entire community. EGSIS represents a scenario which incorporates some of the structural elements of the formal world and aims to facilitate informality through community-based systems. To achieve this, we've taken an urban design approach which looks at the ecology of the neighbourhood holistically. First, we looked at the site to learn how native biodiversity survives the climatic conditions. We noticed that the natural elevated plateau protects native vegetation growth and habitats along the southern fringes. Learning from this, we've elevated our settlement to mimic the landform and create protected spaces for nature to flourish. By also integrating man-made water capture and storage technology, we can create a small artificial wetland system which can grow over time and enhance the overall environment, merging the urban and natural worlds within one ecological system. Beyond this, we must also focus on social integration and productivity. We've aimed to create diverse spaces for residents to gather as a community within buildings and outdoors. Large structures on the site can act as community and productive spaces, while smaller pods are primarily used for residential purposes. Community buildings can accommodate education and business-based activities, such as an informal university, where educators and students can consider their own self-learning and research opportunities. A connection to the formal world should be retained here for a successful scenario, which creates a feedback loop of knowledge resources and businesses between this neighbourhood and the formal world. For our environmentally sustainable outcomes, EGSIS will require an initial structure to enable a self-sufficient scenario. For this, we can take inspiration from housing structures developed for similar climatic conditions, which focus mostly on cooling and water capture opportunities. These can be integrated with modern technologies such as solar capture, biogas energy sources, and passive energy design. Individual dwellings will allow for mostly self-sufficient units, with the exception of food. Though we can learn from our past and our context in utilizing native food sources, the nature of our climate changing and larger populations require us to rely on wider food sources for certain crops. Within this scenario, the community will need to engage and work together to collectively manage their resources and food production, especially as they develop and grow. We believe successful, sustainable settlements require a cohesion of social and physical solutions, which we have explored in this scenario through an urban design-based approach. More details on our approach can be found within our accompanying presentation. Thank you for your time.